Hey everyone, and welcome back to Adrenaline Rush, where we're checking out all of the explosions, gunfights, car chases, and storylines that make action movies great. On this episode, we're checking out Surrogates, an action sci-fi thriller released in 2009. Set in a futuristic world where humans live in isolation and interact through surrogate robots, the movie explores what would happen if we all took our online personas out into the real world using disposable bodies. And I'm willing to bet there's going to be a lot of catfishing going on here. Surrogates the movie was originally a 5-issue graphic novel series called The Surrogates that was adapted to the big screen by co-writers Michael Ferris and John Brancato. Together, both writers scripted a very engaging movie about what the future could look like for us on our path to escape the bounds of our own bodies. The movie focuses on one man's quest to reconnect with his estranged wife, which also has a unique aspect given the era of the story, and adds a touch of humanity to the main character without being distracting. The main character, Agent Tom Greer, is played by Bruce Willis and sports the usual attitude that Willis's characters are best known for. Similar to John McClane in Die Hard, Greer is a street-smart agent and has the outwardly grizzled demeanor that says he's seen it all and lived to tell the tale. But behind the stone facade, Greer is still grieving the loss of his son and desperately wants to rekindle the love between himself and his surrogate-addicted wife, Maggie. Let's dive into the movie to find out what the future has in store for us. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel. The story starts with a man telling us to get up out of our chairs, unplug from our robots, and experience life as it was meant to be. The voice is that of a man nicknamed The Prophet, the head of the surrogate resistance movement and owner of the Sweet Dread Resistance compound. Really, it's more like an Amish community named by someone from Mad Max. Prophet hates the surrogates, and prefers the good old-fashioned meat suits of the olden times. Honestly, why does this guy hate the surrogates so much? Sure, they portray a false version of humanity, and their users are slowly devolving into bedridden mouth breathers, but come on, look at that skin and those, oh my god. Maybe Prophet hates the surrogates because of an awesome plot twist that we find out towards the end of the movie. But we'll find out more about that towards the end of the video. Over the last 14 years, Dr. Lionel Cantor and his company, Virtual Self Industries, have been working diligently to create a way for disabled humans to regain their mobility and independence. Their creation of surrogate humans was immediately popular. Surrogates are essentially synthetic, human-like bodies made of a metal skeleton and a flesh-like skin layer that allow their users to operate their synthetic bodies wirelessly from anywhere in the world. As VSI worked to improve the technology, additional nations purchased or created their own surrogates for military, industrial, and personal use. Eventually, surrogates became more affordable, and as we enter the story, we're told that 98% of the world's population owns surrogates and uses them in all aspects of daily life. Except to poop, of course.
Hello. Sorry. I was in the can.
The movie also says that the use of surrogates has decreased the national crime, disease, and discrimination rate by 99%, which doesn't really make any sense at all. Disease, sure, but humans are still the same humans they've ever been. Now they're just piloting Gundams. I mean, come on. If you're given a Terminator suit, and you can pilot it like you would a drone, only with your mind, and it has sensory feedback, every day would be IRL Fortnite Day. You know, I bet if Prophet had just bought a surrogate and used it, he wouldn't be so discriminatory against them. The idea of using a surrogate in nearly every aspect of daily life seems a little dangerous. I mean, what would happen if someone else was to take over your surrogate and pretend to be you? There are probably security protocols in place to prevent this, but even then, I'm sure someone could find a way to bypass them. Maybe someone like the guy who created the surrogates has the ability to pull off something like that. Speaking of which, I'm just going to leave this image here, and we'll check back in throughout the video for updates. For now, let's just put the decreased crime and discrimination rate notion in the "that doesn't make any sense" bin, and move forward with the story. It's present day, and we're introduced to Dr. Lionel Cantor's only son, Jared. He's a sophomore at West San Diego College who's in town and hitching a ride in one of his dad's surrogates. His dad got him tickets to tonight's premiere of the opera, Tosca. Jared's not really in the mood to see that opera and instead decides to go somewhere else. He's going to the club to get his freak on, but he's not alone because he meets up with a sexy fembot named Cam. Oh, and he's also being followed by an assassin who has a new type of weapon that's able to destroy surrogates and liquefy the brains of their owners, killing them instantly. But that can wait because he has more important things to worry about right now. Jared and Cam go out back to get a little closer, and they run into the mysterious hitman who just can't wait to ruin their fun.
Get lost, meatbag.
Yeah, get lost, meatbag! My man's trying to do the horizontal smash using his Ken doll. The assassin has other plans for the two and pulls out the prototype weapon. The weapon, known as the Overload device, or OD for short, is an experimental device made by VSI and developed for the Army. Real classified stuff here. First, it disorients the systems in the surrogate and uploads a virus to the CPU, disabling the robot. An unexpected side effect of the weapon is that the transfer of energy to the user causes all of their senses to overload and their brains to essentially melt. But I'd still buy one because it comes standard with futuristic sound effects and an energy wave transfer overlay. Can't get that on a Range Rover. The hitman fires a powerful blast at them and they drop dead off camera. He then leaves the scene on his bike, but not before cutting off a Jeep, causing it to roll over, hit a fire hydrant, and crush a synth waiting in line to enter the club. We're introduced to the lead character, Agent Tom Greer, and his sidekick, Legs McGee, who show up to do some detective work. We find out that Jared's surrogate is unregistered, so for now, they'll have to wait until someone reports it missing. Cam's operator hasn't responded to police phone calls, and they're not sure why she hasn't reported the damaged synth. My guess is that it's because she's dead, but we'll have to wait 2 minutes for the movie to tell us that. Are you ready for the movie's first and only jump scare? No, not that. Ah! They just sprung it on us like that. Look at that face. Boy hasn't even hit puberty yet. There's a real uncanny valley feeling I get when looking closely at the surrogates. The uncanny valley refers to the unpleasantness someone experiences when they interact with a human-like object, but there's still something unhuman about the object that provokes an uneasy or eerie feeling in the person who's interacting with it. The surrogates don't have any pores. Their faces are too symmetrical and too smooth, and you won't find a single beauty mark or wrinkle on them. It's really weird. It's not as bad as interacting with Sophia, of course, but it's definitely off-putting. The agents head to Cam's apartment to ask her some questions about her missing surrogate. The landlord lets them in and they find her dead on the synth control lounge chair. Out of curiosity, I wonder what happens when you need a system update. Is it like Windows where it randomly picks a time to close down all your software and install updates when you're in the middle of something? Nope. It's like taking your car in for service. They hold on to it for a week and give you the worst loaner car available. This lady just went in for an update and look what they gave her. It doesn't even have working fingers. Greer heads back to his apartment after a long day to unwind and recharge his surrogate. He spends some time reminiscing about his distanced wife Maggie and their deceased son. We get to see what life is like in this day and age. Family members live isolated within their individual bedrooms inside of multi-room apartments. The other rooms are shared space, but when it's time to go outside, you simply park your meat suit on a lounge chair in your bedroom and upload your consciousness into your robot. Make sure you close the door when you leave your room though, to hide the mess. Greer's wife Maggie has been quite reclusive lately, only leaving her bedroom in the comfort of her surrogate body, and popping lots of pills to subdue the anxiety, guilt, and depression that she feels on a daily basis. Greer would like to reconnect with her and get back to how it used to be, but she's just not having it. Along with Cam, FBI agents have also located the body of Jared Cantor, who appears to have died in a similar manner. FBI Director Stone says pathology reports indicate their brains were liquefied while connected to their surrogates, something that has never happened before. Murders almost never happen these days, and Director Stone doesn't want any of the news stations hearing about the situation and creating a panic. Greer and Legs head to see Dr. Cantor to question him about his son's death. Dr. Cantor is the creator of Surrogates and was the founder and former chairman of the VSI company, the leading manufacturer of surrogate robots. After a split between Cantor and the other chairman over the direction of the company, he was fired. Cantor doesn't know why his son was killed, but determines that the killer must have thought it was him inside the surrogate that Jared was using. Agent Greer and Agent Legs don't make a lot of progress while asking around about the unknown weapon. The spokesperson for VSI claims there is no such weapon and doesn't have any answers for them. Talking to the VSI engineering department doesn't yield many results either, but the department has received a few damaged military surrogates with similar trauma to the ones in the investigation. Greer and Legs go to the local military command center to ask Colonel Brendan if he knows anything, and again, end up with nothing. Seems like everyone's trying to keep this thing hush-hush. Through the investigation, FBI agents uncover the name of the assassin. Miles Strickland has an extensive arrest record and ties to the anti-surrogate Dread Reservation network. He's been hired to kill Dr. Cantor, and he'll wipe out anyone who stands in his way. The computer has also traced his current location to just outside the reservation. Time to go catch a bad guy. Greer hops on the nearest helicopter as police chase Strickland through the city. Strickland isn't willing to go down without a fight and causes several car crashes while escaping to a back alley. He doesn't wear a surrogate, and if he's captured or killed, there's no coming back for him. Local police close on his position, but he's ready for them, taking the anti-synth weapon out and firing it at the approaching officers. As they descend the stairs, they're hit with a beam of light and energy, destroying them and their operators instantly. Greer's chopper gets a little too close to the action and alerts Strickland to their presence. He aims the weapon up to the chopper and fires again. The blast kills the pilot, but Greer just barely avoids its full effect. Without a pilot, the helicopter spirals down toward the ground inside the Dread Reservation. As Strickland also heads for the safety of the compound. Remember, the Dread Reservation is a community of people who violently oppose surrogates and their usage. When they see the FBI helicopter crash inside their walls, and a Terminator-esque FBI agent with an assault rifle hunting down a human, they take up arms against Agent Greer. In the crash, Greer's surrogate loses his right arm, so he's forced to be a lefty. Yikes, talk about a handicap.
Just kidding, my left-handed friends. Did you know that Bruce Willis is left-handed in real life? Now you do.
Just when Greer apprehends Strickland, his surrogate is shot dead by one of the members of the compound. Dang, so close. The real Greer wakes up at his house and is feeling the effects from the blast of the experimental weapon. Bloodied and disoriented, he staggers out of his room and collapses in the hallway, banging on Maggie's door for help. Maggie's surrogate returns home with a friend, who both look like they've been perpetually reliving their late 30s at the club, and they discover Tom unconscious in the hallway. The paramedics arrive and take him to the hospital. Back on the Dread Reservation, Strickland wakes up to find Prophet and a couple of his goons ransacking his belongings. Prophet asks who hired him to use the weapon, but Strickland doesn't know much about the man who hired him, saying they talked on disposable cell phones. Prophet and his guys then kill Strickland and confiscate the weapon. At the hospital, Greer's boss, Director Stone, enters the room to tell Greer that he's been suspended for violating the treaty with the Dread Reservation. Stone also says they won't be able to get him a new surrogate until after the official investigation, so for now, Greer's gotta be a real boy. Stone wants Greer to take some time off and says he'll deal with Strickland personally. When you hear someone with power say, "I'll handle this personally," do you immediately get suspicious of that person? I know I sure do. Greer isn't happy about the news, so he removes the IV from his hand and heads out into the world in his human form. Outside, Greer makes his way to the Dread Reservation to talk with Prophet about Strickland and the weapon, but the talk doesn't give Greer any new answers. As Greer leaves the compound, he's met by Dr. Cantor and a new surrogate, who just so happens to be taking a leisurely drive through the surrounding slums. That's a little weird. Cantor says that even though his son's killer is now dead, the case isn't over. Greer will need to find the person who hired Strickland to use the weapon. That sounds a lot like what someone else was saying recently.
I guess it's time to reveal the main story twist you've all been waiting for.
And it's that Prophet, the leader of the anti-surrogate movement, is actually a surrogate being piloted by Dr. Cantor, the creator of Surrogates. After being fired from VSI, Cantor made it his life's mission to shut down the company by creating a resistance movement against artificial living. And he's doing it through a powerful robot persona that's leading a large militant group of robot haters. Greer arrives back at his house to find Maggie and her friends having a party. They're all getting high off of electrical shocks, which is known in this universe as jacking off.
No, just jacking, period. Nothing else.
Maggie says she doesn't do that kind of thing, but she's getting a little too close with one of the guys at the party for Agent Greer's liking. Greer changes into his ass-kicking jacket and heads out to the party. He grabs the nearest chair and smashes it into the back of one of the party guests, who's laughing at him the whole time and doesn't seem to mind. Greer beats the guy until half his face falls off, leaving a nice set of pearly whites and an exposed eyeball staring back at him. Now that's $1 million smile. No wonder this guy's a Hollywood actor. In the hallway, Maggie confronts her husband about what just happened. It's just a little human jealousy, baby. You wouldn't know anything about it. Back in Maggie's room, she knows she's messing up. She parks her synth in such a way that it can silently judge her while she takes some pills to relieve the pressure. Even her empty robotic shell knows what she's doing isn't right. Greer heads back to the FBI office to do some detective work and to get his mind off of the negative events of the day. He discovers information about the weapon and the military contract with VSI. Greer suspects Colonel Brendan may know more than he's letting on, and decides to speak with him the next day about it. Meanwhile, at Agent Leg's house, she's fast asleep when her home is invaded by a mysterious intruder. The man reviews videos from her synth and then murders her in her sleep with 2 consecutive double taps. That's a bit excessive. It turns out that this hitman is also one of Dr. Cantor's unregistered, bloodthirsty surrogates. Cantor hacks into Agent Leg's surrogate and now has full access to the FBI office where the synth is being stored. At the military office, Greer and Colonel Brendan discuss the weapon. It turns out the weapon was created to win wars with one blow, allowing troops to wipe out the other side's surrogates quickly. When it was found out that the weapon also killed their operators, the project was scrapped. Colonel Brendan is alarmed to hear the Dread Reservation has the weapon and mounts a military assault on the compound to retrieve it. Troops descend on the compound and close in on Prophet's location. Prophet and his armed squad emerge from a school building and open fire on the military troops, hitting one in the leg. The troops return fire, wounding one man and killing Prophet. Or rather, killing Prophet's surrogate. This is where the audience discovers Prophet is actually Dr. Cantor. Unfortunately, they don't recover the weapon because it's already been transferred to a new player, Agent Leg's surrogate, who is now being piloted by Dr. Cantor. Cantor has a global scale plan for the weapon and needs 3 sets of access codes to unlock it, and he's hoping Agent Greer will help him achieve his mission. By using Legs to get close to Greer, Cantor believes he can make his plans a reality. While at the FBI building, Agent Leg's surrogate has been looking for information on who hired Strickland to kill Cantor, and she knows who did it. That person is Director Stone. See, Stone has plans to leave FBI headquarters and to accept a high-paying leading role at the VSI company. But first they needed him to do one small favor: hire Miles Strickland, deliver the experimental weapon to him, have him assassinate Dr. Cantor, and then cover it all up. Legs and Greer talk about Director Stone's plans, and Greer heads inside to confront him. In Director Stone's office, Greer accuses Stone of the conspiracy and is forced to disable his surrogate before Stone can call for security. On Stone's computer, Greer finds all the evidence he needs, plus additional confidential information about the weapon, including its access codes. The real Director Stone sounds the alarm inside the building to capture Agent Greer, who's already making his escape. Greer jumps into Leg's car and they escape onto the streets. While talking about the case, Legs asks Greer for the access codes, and he delivers them to her without any hesitation. She then calls for help on her cell phone, and another car crashes into the passenger side of her car, injuring Greer and kindling the violins. Legs takes off on foot with the weapon, and Greer gets behind the wheel for an epic car chase. He nearly hits Legs and several oncoming vehicles, but does manage to destroy one synth on a battery charger. In return, Legs throws a parking meter like a javelin at Greer, nearly hitting him. Greer mows down several robots on the sidewalk. Remember, YouTube, these are robots, not actual people. Context is important. While Legs hops from car to car, finally escaping by bus. Greer swerves to miss a delivery vehicle and crashes the car into a retail storefront. Greer abandons the car and hides under the vehicle while agents scan the area, missing Greer entirely. It's too bad the FBI were the first ones on the scene and not an agency trained in investigating. So close. Agent Legs has made it back to the FBI office and has a human hostage, Bobby Saunders. Bobby is the man who runs the surrogate network from the FBI office and is able to remotely disconnect users from their surrogates. Greer calls Bobby and tells him to disconnect Legs, but he can't because she has him handcuffed to a table. On the main computer, Legs is attempting to hack into the surrogate network to upload the virus from the weapon to every surrogate in the world, killing everyone who is using their surrogate. Greer calls his wife, Maggie, to tell her to go offline, but she doesn't answer. Director Stone is back in his metal puppet and heads into the control room to stop Legs. Cantor, inside Legs' surrogate, questions Stone about killing his son and fires the weapon at him, killing both Stone and his surrogate instantly. Cantor then connects the weapon to the central computer, initiates the upload, and enters the access codes.
Well, it looks like everyone in the world is going to die, but I've got a plan to make it through all this. Genuine yellow soylent made of people, with peas!
Greer drives to Cantor's house to stop him. Inside, he disables Cantor's security guard and heads upstairs to find the room Cantor is hiding in. He finds a very low-tech hidden door and a hallway of surrogates, including the hitman surrogate that killed Agent Legs and extra surrogates of Prophet. Cantor knows Greer has entered his room and disconnects from the Agent Legs surrogate at FBI headquarters. Cantor and Greer talk about the future of mankind and what surrogacy has done to people, turning nearly everyone into lifeless addicts. Greer can relate to this all too well because of his wife Maggie's addiction to her synthetic counterpart. At gunpoint, Greer watches Cantor swallow a cyanide pill and then die. Greer has less than 1 minute to stop the virus from uploading into everyone's surrogate and killing them. He remotely controls Agent Leg's surrogate, and with Bobby's help, they work to disconnect everyone from their synths. Bobby knows that disconnecting every surrogate will take too long, and instead suggests they disable all incoming transmissions from the surrogates to their operators. With 1 second to spare, they do it, saving billions of people from death.
And ruining my Soylent Green business.
Now they need to save the surrogates from being destroyed. Remember, the virus has already been uploaded to the network and will be transmitted to the surrogates in the next minute. The team has prevented the users from being affected, but there would still be a complete and permanent shutdown of all surrogates if they don't do something fast. Greer just needs to abort the transmission of the virus to the surrogates by hitting the yes key. But thinking about his wife, and ultimately the world's dependency on surrogates, causes him to have second thoughts about the situation. Would it be such a bad idea to eliminate the world's addiction to artificial living? Could he free his wife from her addiction and reunite with her? At the last second, Greer presses the no key, uploading the virus to every surrogate in the world, destroying them and their infrastructure. FBI agents then enter the room and shoot Agent Leg's synthetic suit in the head. Greer knows what he's done, but rushes home to check on his wife. Honestly, nearly every person on Earth just woke up from a coma-like state. It's probably like playing World of Warcraft back in its peak for days on end, and then having to leave your house to buy groceries. Nobody's going to make that transition very smoothly. It's almost like the rapture just happened. Humanoid bodies scatter lifelessly everywhere. Cars are parked haphazardly all over the road, and there's an overwhelming silence in the aftermath. Greer surveys the damage he's helped to cause on his way home as a few people, actual people, emerge from their homes in disbelief. Greer enters his apartment and kicks open Maggie's door, finding her missing. He also notices, likely for the first time, her stash of pills and coping medications. Down the hallway, he finds her in their son's room, coming to terms with her new reality. Their eyes greet each other and they embrace, reunited once more.
Wow, what a great movie. Tom Greer was finally able to get his wife back, but at no small cost. Overall, 13 humans were killed, consisting of 12 men and 1 woman, including Jared Cantor, Cameron McAllister, 6 police officers, the FBI helicopter pilot, Miles Strickland, Agent Legs, Director Stone, Dr. Cantor, and countless synthetics were destroyed, likely in the billions. In total, the movie had 3 car crash scenes, 2 car chase scenes, 2 explosion scenes, 1 helicopter crash, and 1 gunfight that were all evenly sprinkled throughout the movie and performed beautifully. Well, that's it for the movie Surrogates. Luckily that was just a movie and we all still have our surrogates. Time to go park this bad boy on the charger and take a bathroom break. I'll see you for more adrenaline rush adventures in the next one. Thanks for watching. Do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you for more adrenaline rush adventures in the next one. Bye-bye.